So we deal with thousands of people a day. They come to us that are obese, thousands a day. And they'll lose a half a pound to 2 pounds a day. I'll show you one example, but we have thousands a day who'll lose 25 pounds if they need it. They'll lose 140 pounds in 100 days, that kind of stuff. This fella here, a pastor from Charlotte, North Carolina, Ivan Ledbetter, he was 6'1". Here's his son who plays basketball and football. You know, he weighs about 260. He's 6'5", but he's 423 pounds. Pastor. We put him on the program for a weight loss. It's called the Healthy Weight Loss Pack, right? And he lost 17 pounds in the first week. Started ASAP, which is part of the program, as slim as possible, as soon as possible. Lost 60 pounds in the first 30 days at 2 pounds a day. Went from 400 pounds at that point to 165 pounds in 7 months. And here he is, 7 months later. Oh yeah, he was also on dialysis and had high blood pressure and diabetes, and all that's gone. We got him off of dialysis. We got rid of his high blood pressure, and his type 2 diabetes is gone because of a simple deficiency of a single mineral. Now dialysis is, there's nothing wrong with your kidney when you have dialysis, or excuse me, when you have kidney failure. And they put you on dialysis. There's nothing wrong with your kidney. What happens is you get obstructive disease, you get inflammation, obstructive artery disease in your kidneys, and the filters won't work in the kidneys because they isn't getting the dirty blood to work on. And so the kidneys just go into hibernation. So the filtration rate goes down, the creatinine goes up because they can't do anything because there's no dirty blood getting in there. So about 25 years ago, we learned how to encourage the obstructed arteries to allow blood to come through, okay? And we got the blood flowing again. And we take people who haven't urinated in 10 years on dialysis 6 days a week for 10 years. And they've been on dialysis 10 years before that. Maybe in 2 weeks to 2 months, they start urinating again. And in another couple of months, they're off of dialysis, even if they've had diabetes for 30 years. In 30 days, they're next diabetic. Type 1, you might be able to reduce the amount of medication they take by 90%, but they'll always have to take a little bit of insulin because they don't make any, or not enough. Type 2 diabetics, they make 10 times more than they really need. There's just no communication from the insulin to the cells until you give them that nutrient. And then suddenly it all works. Been doing it for 36 years and it never fails. It never fails. Kind of like having a combination lock. It always works. We already talked about athletes, so we don't have to go into detail there. Now comes the real basic stuff. Now stay awake here, folks, because this is what's going to save you and your children, your brothers and sisters, your church mates, your neighbors, your workmates. This is going to, I can make America a type 2 diabetes-free country in 2 months. Okay, again, that's why they're having me speak to United Nations in October this year. Because those two diseases, obesity and diabetes, are breaking industrialized nations financially. Well, there are 20 cultures that the National Geographic ranks as the top 20 longevity cultures. That's one of my passions, I want to live to be 200 or more and be biologically like 30. It's doable, but you're going to have to give your genes, your DNA, your RNA, and your telomeres everything they need to maximize your genetic potential for longevity and health and fending off disease and speed and strength and intelligence. Just like putting the right type of oil in your Lamborghini every 1,000 miles. Same principle, right? And so I want to know, what is it for these top 20 longevity cultures where each one of them features a cover article in the National Geographic over the last 60 years? How come the National Geographic didn't put them all in one issue? That was my question. So we put them all in one book. We found out that these top 20 longevity cultures have 40 times the 100-year-olds we do. They have 100 per 250 of the population. We have 100 per 10,000. They have 40 times the 100-year-olds we do. They're illiterate. They're third world cultures. They do not have doctors, insurance, government or private. They do not have emergency services. They don't have hospitals or clinics. They have no utilities, no indoor plumbing. They have no roads, no cars, no phones, no TVs, no radios, no computers. They don't have anything you would think of as being modern. Why would you go there for anything, for God's sakes? They don't even have a drive-through of any kind. Who's going to build a drive-through if nobody has cars and you only do move around in burrows, right? Well, it turns out they have 23 common threads, which you all can do at home. So we put all these 23 common threads based on each culture. We did each culture, and then we have a summary on all cultures, all the statistics put together in here. Very simple for you to pick out what you need to do. I'm going to show you some details in a moment. But basically, again, one of the things they do is live on a calorie-restricted diet. How many have heard that a calorie-restricted diet will help you live longer? Okay, good, about 25% of it. A calorie-restricted diet works because if you eat a lot of food, you need more nutrition to deal with it, to metabolize that food. If you're taking in less calories, you don't need so much nutrition. So if you're a little deficient, it won't make a big difference. If you're taking lots of calories, if you're a little bit deficient, it's going to kill you. Get the picture? That's why a calorie-restricted diet works, is because you don't need so much nutrition. None of them get any bad stuff. Push you to build a drive-thru again for people who move around in burros, so they don't get fried foods, they don't get carbonated drinks and all that kind of stuff. They do get the 90 essential nutrients. I'll show you how they do that in a minute. They take in 10 times the ORAC points we do, which is a measurement of how many free radicals are neutralized by the antioxidants in their food. This is May 2013, cover article, National Geographic. They had 5 different issues of this one issue of the magazine, one printing of the magazine. They had 5 different covers. Everything inside the magazine is exactly the same. Everything on the cover is exactly the same except for the picture of the kid. 1/5 of the issues had a picture of a brown kid, another 1/5 had a black kid, another one had an Oriental kid, another one had a white kid, another one had a Native American kid. And every one of the races took the picture of their baby on the cover, which you would assume that's what they would do. So they sold more issues of this one magazine made 2013 than any others because everybody wanted a picture of their own baby. Let's look at billionaires. I've been asking, gosh, for 20 years, Forbes magazine and other organizations, tell me about billionaires. I want to know what sicknesses they get. I want to know what their average lifespan is, what they die from. And I came up with a CD called What Kills Billionaires, and they got permission for me to use it as a title for one of their articles. In 2004, this came out. You can look up my CD, What Kills Billionaires. And they said the average lifespan of a billionaire is 78. Well, again, people living under the bridge live to be 78. That's not too exciting. So they got the top personal trainers. They had exercise equipment put in their limos where they drove from home to work every morning, so they work out on the way to work. They put gymnasiums in their offices and in their homes. But the doctors told them that these people who live a long time, you know, they work hard physically 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you're living on computers, and so that's why you're having all these problems. So they decided they want to work hard. You know, give me 10 more! Sweat! No pain, no gain! Why these billionaires are just working out like crazy. Well, March 2011, they reran the study, Forbes magazine. And remember, in 2004, their average lifespan was 78. In 2011, their average lifespan was 66. They lost 12 years. Lost 12 years of average lifespan and 12 years of time. Now, how'd that happen? They were working out. They were eating meals that were $1,000 each. I mean, organic and prepared by the best 5-star vegan chef and all that kind of stuff. But not one person told them to take the 90 essential nutrients. So nobody took vitamins and minerals. Just like athletes, same principle. They all died. Just like this fella here, he chose poorly. He had a 5-star vegan chef, exactly as the chef said. A smart techie, a billionaire, died at 56. Ask Steve Jobs what just eating well did for him. Bam! He was dead. Now, the oldest man in America ever recorded and documented was a guy by the name of George Francis, who died in December of 2008. He lived in the swamps of Louisiana, so you already know where I'm going. He lived in the swamps of Louisiana. He was illiterate. He lived in a cabin that was built by his great-great-granddaddy during the slave days. He died at 112, documented by the U.S. government, and he outlived 19 U.S. presidents. He lived through 19 U.S. presidents, the average lifespan of whom was 75. The doctors who cared for these 19 U.S. presidents, whose average lifespan was 56, exactly half of George's age. And here's his daughter reading the newspaper to him because he was illiterate. When he died at 112, the reporters asked his daughter what her daddy did to be 112. She said he broke all the rules of healthy eating. Who came up with the rules of healthy eating? Medical doctors who lived to be 56. No cholesterol, no saturated fat, more oils, bam, you're dead. when newspaper reporters interview little old ladies who are 110, 112, and there's one in the newspaper this morning who just had her 116th birthday. She's classed as the oldest living person right now in the world that's documented. I think probably in the United States, I wouldn't say the world, but certainly in the United States, the oldest living person. And they asked her what she attributed her long, healthy life to, and she says it's God. Well, I believe that. I could go for that. But I believe it's more than God. I think it's God's systems. Now, if you tap into God's systems, you're going to do better than if you just believe in God and you don't tap into His systems. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's kind of like being on the prayer list and never doing anything. Being on the prayer list isn't quite enough. You have to change all the bad stuff, right? And do more of the good stuff. You have to take some responsibility here. So I really appreciated his daughter's answer. She said he broke all the rules of healthy eating with a diet heavy is the word she used, on dairy products, eggs, and large sandwiches. How people ate before Crisco. Huh? Now he lived in this cabin and had a pot-belly stove and a dirt floor. He made his living by catching crawdads and catfish to sell at Cajun restaurants. And he lived to be 112. Are you getting the picture here? It's always a third world situation. It's never a billionaire. It's never the top $60 million a year athlete who lives to be 100. It's always the third world culture person. Always! I'm going to show you why. We know exactly why. Because when you examine all of them, and you have a degree in agriculture, so you kind of inspect that piece. You have a degree in veterinary medicine, you inspect that piece. I'm a pathologist, and I looked at that. And I'm a primary care physician, I looked at that. So we know exactly why this is the scenario that it is. Now, how many ever heard of rare earths? Raise your hand, rare earths. Okay, well, rare earths have to do, in modern times, with computers. You know, one little battery the size of a BB that's made out of rare earth can power a whole town. I mean, it's really powerful stuff. And rare earths, there's 9 of them that I know of, and 6 of them have been heavily researched. And research shows that they actually double lifespans of laboratory animals. Let's say you take laboratory rats, you give them a half of them Ralston Purina laboratory rat pellets, and they live to be 6 years old. They give this another group, the study group, you give them the same alfalfa pellets from laboratory rat pellets from Ralston Purina, but you grind them up into powder, you throw in any one of the rare earths, any one of them, ytterbium, yttrium, samarium, europium, neodymium, praseodymium, any one of those that have been studied. Put any one of them, 1/1000th of 1 microgram, 1/1000th of 1 microgram in that pellet. It'll double lifespan, it'll be 12 instead of 6. And so in that book, Rare Earths Forbidden Cures, which talks about all these mineral deficiencies that would cause people to be obese, and all these different diseases, including diabetes and muscular dystrophy and cystic fibrosis and all these other birth defects and lupus and all that kind of stuff. These rare earths are talked about quite heavily in here, and also the book Immortality. Now, Lucian LePay, the head of the Department of Public Health at Harvard Medical School in 1990, wanted to do something for America. So he did a study county by county. He was looking for the secret. Which county in America was going to live the longest? And he checked the medical records of every county in the United States, sent teams out to look at them, and he found the ones that lived the longest, and he found the ones that lived the shortest. There was a 25-year difference. And he said, there's got to be some difference in how they treat patients in the hospitals and how GPs treat their patients. And the ones that lived the longest, he put in purple, and he found they lived in the Midwest, the upper Midwest, and the Plain States for both females and males. Okay, the purple lived the longest. And the ones in the yellow, orange, and red, like in the old Confederate States, Cook County, Chicago, Lake County, Gary, Indiana, west of the Mississippi River, they're almost all red, orange, and yellow, or in Indian reservations. These people don't live as long as people in purple. 25-year difference. And so, what is it? They all have the same medical care. Even people living under the bridge get the same medical care. As a billionaire. I mean, somebody living under the bridge, if they can stumble into the emergency room, those emergency room doctors give them the very best care. Because you pay for it. So just because they're living on the bridge doesn't mean they're going to get neglected. I mean, they get every test is going to be. They're going to get treated the best, get hospital care, right? So everything's the same. So if the medical system is the same, why is there a 25-year difference between the ones in the Midwest, upper Midwest, and the Plain States, and the old Confederate States, and Chicago, and Gary, Indiana, and the Indian reservations? 25-year difference, that's significant. Because of how they eat. and the nutrition in the soil where they live. So we're beginning to get a picture here. Let's just show you one disease. Let's just look at cardiovascular disease. Don't you notice that that's kind of the same patterns I just showed you on just longevity? The worst places are in the burgundy, the dark red. You notice in Alaska there's no heart disease. All the Eskimos are eating nothing but whale meat and whale blubber. Their cholesterols are 350 to 500. They don't even have any cardiovascular disease. Wow. Ground zero for the worst possible place in America for heart disease and obesity and diabetes and cancer is Jackson, Mississippi, where I'm going Monday. I lecture about 6 times a year, trying to save people, okay, as many as I can. So what's going on here? Well, there's little or no selenium in the soil here, little or no selenium in the soil in these places, okay? And as a result, they get cardiomyopathy, heart disease, they get cataracts, they get obstructive artery disease, they get all kinds of stuff. They get fibromyalgia, they get baby with birth defects of muscular dystrophy, and so on. But heart attacks are a big thing here, sudden heart attacks. I'm going to show you a quick one here. It has to do with gluten intolerance. I really need to move this up closer. I already talked about gluten, but this is a little UC. He's 3 months old here, being breastfed by his mama. He was born with his eczema over every square millimeter of his body. His little penis, his butt, up in his nostrils and his eyelids. His sclera, the whites of his eyes are covered with eczema. He has asthma. He was born that way. His mom was 28 years old. She had the same thing, asthma and eczema. When she was born, it got worse and worse and worse. At age 28, it was really bad for her. The pediatrician who was caring for UC told her to get one of these infant monitors. When he wheezed at night, run in there and spray him with an inhaler for his asthma. Told him to keep his fingernails clipped, put mittens on him, and put cortisone cream on him to stop the itches for his eczema. Well, he put on a gluten-free diet. Here are the 90 essential nutrients, 16 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 essential amino acids, 3 essential fatty acids. In 2 weeks' time, her asthma or eczema she'd had, which was getting worse for 28 years. Now remember, she's breastfeeding him. All those nutrients are coming through her breast milk. And in the same 2 weeks that she got rid of her asthma and eczema, well, UC's asthma and eczema went away. When he's 2 years of age, he's on his own gluten-free diet and his own 90 essential nutrients. You can tell by looking at him he doesn't have asthma or eczema anymore. Now, if he had been left alone and not given the 90 essential nutrients and stayed on a gluten-free diet, the odds are he would have died by this time. Are you getting a picture here?
Yeah.
This is in your hand. You can't unknow what you know. You can't put the genie in the bottle now. The scary thing is you know more than most doctors at this point. It's not scary that you know it. It's scary that they don't know it. And they're seeing hundreds of patients every week, which is very, very scary. The same thing works with psoriasis. It takes a little bit longer, 4 to 6 weeks, for psoriasis to go away. How many of you heard of lupus? Raise your hand. You know, if you've seen anybody with lupus, systemic lupus, they have this rosacea on their face, this little butterfly rash on their face is very characteristic. And you get them on a gluten-free diet, get them in the 90 essential nutrients appropriate for their body weight, lupus goes away in a couple of weeks. It's not an autoimmune disease, it's a simple nutritional deficiency caused by the lack of the villi in the intestine. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the 90 essential nutrients, and we'll summarize it up. How long do you need water? For life. How long do you need oxygen? For life. Well, now you got, well, that didn't take long, you learned quick. How long do you need the 90 essential nutrients?
For life.
Okay, you got it. This is not difficult, is it? You think some people as clever as doctors should be able to figure that out? 90 essential nutrients. They're called essential nutrients for multiple reasons, but the 2 most important ones, you can't make them. You must eat them every day. Either as food or supplements or a combination usually of both food and supplements. Also, they're missing for any length of time to get horrible diseases, all of which are ultimately fatal. You need 60 minerals, which are 2/3 of the 90 essential nutrients, so that minerals are important. You need 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 fatty acids, and all these are required by your genes, your DNA, your RNA, your telomeres to maximize your genetic potential for longevity and for health and fending off disease and strength and speed and intelligence and all the things you think of as being dealt with by genetics. Your gene does not work in an autonomous fashion. It requires all these raw materials to function at its optimal capacity, just like that Lamborghini car. This is a article from the April 16, 2012 issue of Food Chemistry, a very well-respected journal. I read it all the time, but I wrote the first paper on the mass die-off in America from pollution. It was published in 1962. And this has to do with reporting of foods that are harvested every month from the United States, and county by county, listed by county, and tells you the pollution load in, which I was interested in. Plus, I began to learn what nutrients were in foods grown in different places. You can see how they occur in strange patterns. Well, in this particular issue, April 16, 2012, they looked at the nutritional value and pollution load in the top 8 baby formulas. Gerber's, Infamil, Similac, ones you're very familiar with, many are probably raised on, right? What they said was, commercially available baby foods may contain less than 20% of the recommended levels of many minerals and vitamins. Remember, you need 60 minerals. I defy you to find a commercially available baby food in the store. Go look at Infamil, Similac, and Gerber baby formulas on the shelf in the grocery stores. Find me one that has 60 minerals. Most of them only have 13 or less, somewhere between 9 and 13. That's another one of my 8 lawsuits. I had to sue them in federal court to get selenium in there. Okay? I want you to look that up. So what you're going to have to do to save your babies and grandbabies, what you're going to have to supplement them because it's not in the food. Now, now I'm going to show you something because I think you'll recognize this, but I think it's important. It's worth 2 or 3 minutes. This is a Sunday magazine from the Globe and Mail, which is kind of the USA Today type newspaper. It's a national newspaper in Canada. It comes out every day, including the weekend. This is a weekend magazine, kind of like Parade magazine to them. And the doctors up there were having an impact. Char alone, Char, why don't you stand up for a minute and wave, everybody. She's been with me for 25 years. She's responsible for 500,000 of my patients. Okay? She deals with them electronically every day. She feeds me information, feeds them information, right? And so Canada, they're having quite an interesting time because she has 25,000 patients in Canada alone, in Ontario, just right there in Ontario. And so the doctors are up there getting offended a little bit. And so they say, why would you want to take all these vitamins and minerals for nutrients when you can just eat well? Just eat well, you get everything you need. Well, I defy you to tell me how many milligrams of calcium you're going to get from a 1-inch wedge of that green apple. But you want to do a $2,500 analysis out of every piece of food you eat, find out what's in it so you can then make up the supplement? I defy you to tell me how many international units of vitamin A or beta-carotenes in a 1-inch wedge of that tomato without an analysis. What about folic acid? How many micrograms of folic acid or selenium is in a 1-inch wedge of that yellow bell pepper? But I know how much is in every one of these things. I wouldn't take all that stuff, but we have liquids that have 245 nutrients in a liquid. You don't have to take all those pills and capsules, right? So we've got it down to a science to where you can guarantee you're going to get everything. Now, Char, you've been taking enough stuff by body weight for a 200-pound guy twice a day for how long now?
Going on 25 years.
Going on 25 years. When was the last time you were sick?
I really wasn't sick.
I want you to stand up again, please. Face the audience, please. And April 7th, you turned how old?
72.
When you do this, ladies and gentlemen, you will always look 30 to 50 years younger. Now, in a week, I'm turning 76. I haven't been to a doctor in 68 years. I've never been on prescription medication. I've never had any surgery. My blood pressure runs 90/60. My pulse is 36. And Char was a witness. We had the insurance companies sent a nurse practitioner and a PA to my house because I refused to go see doctors. And so, because they threatened to murder me, by the way, on the air, on the radio, because they thought they were on the telephone. We have that recorded. And so at any rate, so I had them as witnesses that actually had this done by PAs and nurse practitioners for the insurance company for my life insurance for my wife if something happens to me. And they just said, well, you need to be on blood thinners. Your pulse is only 36. You're going to get a blood clot. I'm not going to get a blood clot. I take in 19 grams, 19,000 milligrams of omega-3s every day because I fly so much. I don't want a pulmonary embolism or a coronary thrombosis or a thrombotic stroke. So I take in 19 grams, 19,000 milligrams of these omega-3s every day, along with all the other 89 essential nutrients, right? And so I'm not worried about the blood clot because it's not going to happen. Hadn't happened in 68 years, right? And so what did rich people, pharaohs, do 8,000 years ago to get their minerals? They paid grave robbers great sums of silver and gold to get them mummies who were supposed to live forever, and they would grind these mummies up and eat mummy dust as their source of minerals. Just like bone meal, or what do you call it? Supplements that come from coral reefs. Coral is just skeletons of little animals, little sea animals. And so why not a skeleton of a human being? Well, it's called mortuary cannibalism. It's illegal today. You probably couldn't get away with it. You probably couldn't afford it today. But that's how they got their minerals. Well, subsistence farmers and slaves couldn't afford these things. And so where did they get their nutrients? Let's kind of look at this a little bit. Let me try to change this place a little bit here. Anyway, how many of you remember going to your grandma and grandpa's house? You're old enough to remember going to your mom and dad's house and had a wood stove. Anybody remember the wood stove days? Okay. What did your mom and dad or your grandma and grandpa, what did they do with the wood ashes? They put them in the recycling bin to save the earth. Where did the wood ashes go?
In the garden.
In the vegetable garden. Exactly right. Went to the vegetable garden. Now wood ashes are not ashes. Wood ashes are really minerals. 95 to 90% of that powder that we call wood ashes are really minerals that the tree sucked up out of the ground. And the nature and amount and variety of the minerals in those ashes will depend on where the tree grew. The nutritional minerals do not occur in a uniform blank around the crust of the earth. They occur in veins like chocolate and chocolate ice cream. In some places there's none. In some places there's just a modest amount. In some places there's okay amounts, but in some places there's a lot. I guarantee you, wherever people live a long time, they have a lot in the soil. Well, they take these wood ashes and they throw them in the garden, and the trees suck them up. You burn the trees, you throw the wood ashes into the garden, and guess what? The peas, the beans, the squash, the tomatoes, the okra, the bell peppers, the sweet potato, and the onions suck up all these minerals. You eat them. That's how we got our mineral supplements for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Well, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, on Pearl Street, New York City, it all changed. In a heartbeat, it all changed. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, on Pearl Street in New York City, on the bluff overlooking the construction of the Brooklyn Bridge, an event happened. It was in every newspaper in the world the next day because we had the telegraph. The story went out across the world, and the next day it was in every newspaper in the world. This fellow here, Thomas Edison, had pulled the switch on the first commercial electric generating plant. Within 10 years, every town and every city in the industrialized world converted from wood as the universal fuel to electricity. I don't care if you remember anything I've told you so far, but I want you to take home this next paragraph. Okay, this is what I want you to take home. You fuel your home with electricity. How many wood ashes are left over in your home every morning? 0! And what did you replace your source of nutritional mineral supplements with? Nothing! 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 Now, here's little Grandma Ruthie, 80-something years old, and she's starting to feel some aches and pains, and she sees an ad on TV for Boost and Ensure, maybe one a day vitamin. She said, Dr. Frank, I saw all this stuff about Ensure and Boost and one a day. Shouldn't I be supplementing my diet with some vitamins and minerals or something? Do not supplement! You're Logos! I want you to use every good German chemistry pharmaceuticals. Okay, beginning to get the picture here?
Yeah.
Every doctor who said that should be put in jail for murder. Because they killed little Grandma Ruthie as sure as he shot her in the head. Because she was asking, she's begging, shouldn't I be taking some vitamins? Oh no, just eat well. And you'll wind up like Steve Jobs. Dead at 56. Are you beginning to get the picture here? He should have at least said, well, yeah, I really don't believe in it much, but can't hurt you. Go ahead and take a supplement if you want. Might do you some good, but they never do. They always say, don't do it, you'll overdose. So what was the overall result from that? Well, you said document 264 came out in 1936, in U.S. Senate document 264, and it says countless human ills stem from the fact that impoverished soil or deficient soil of America no longer provides plant foods with the mineral elements essential for human nourishment and health. They knew that in 1936 it was published in a U.S. Senate document 264, because they had hearings. But the agricultural department and farmers and university professors in agriculture were having all these testimonies, and they put it all together in this document. It's not like they haven't known it. Here's that document 264, 1936. Well, how in the hell did that happen? Well, not only did we convert to electricity, instead of wood, no wood ashes going on in the garden anymore, but what about the bigger fields? Well, what were, prior to electricity, what were the most expensive and the most fertile farmlands? Bottomland, things like floodplains. Now, what would happen to these floodplains and bottomland that were in valleys along the sides of rivers? What would happen every year when it flooded? And that water, that flood water would recede. What did it leave behind? Silt, which are minerals from mountains hundreds or maybe even thousands of miles upstream. Then the farmer pushed that silt off to the side before he planted? He plowed it back in. Every year he would re-inoculate the soil with those minerals. But people liked electricity. It was safe, it was inexpensive, it was predictable. It saved a lot of house fires. Boy, they loved it. They stand there all day. On, off. It was just quite a thing. Oh, just think about it. Electric stoves, electric refrigerators. You didn't have to wait for some guy in a wagon to bring a bunch of ice blocks to put in your house with straw around to keep it from melting. How many remember that piece? Some of us are old enough to remember that, right? And so politicians jumped in there and said, "You vote for me, I'll electrify the Tennessee Valley and create thousands of jobs." They got the TVA, created 1,000 jobs, electrified the Tennessee Valley. "You vote for me, we'll electrify the southwestern 7 states, including California and Arizona and Nevada, the Hoover Dam, create 1,000 jobs." And they did. I mean, everybody's excited. I mean, everybody got an electric blender, an electric mixer, an electric stove, electric icebox. I mean, they had TVs, and you didn't have to grind the Victrola anymore. It was electric. I mean, it was wild when you think about it. Changed everything. But there was an unintended consequence. Flood control. No more flooding, no more silt to plow in every year. And what did we get for that? We got the Dust Bowl, the Great Depression, because the soil was dead, no food, people were sick and depressed, couldn't work. Factories shut down. And all the industrialized world went into a funk because of electricity. I'm sure old Thomas Edison would turn over his grave and realize what his invention had done. Not because he knew that was going to happen, but here's a case where they should have sat down and said, okay, what are going to be the consequences of everything we do here? It's going to be so globally encompassing, what can we expect we have to deal with? Okay, that's why we have fire inspectors in buildings now. You know, you make your whole building out of tissue paper insulation, and electric wires are running through tissue paper, you're bound to have a fire. That doesn't work. Okay, so you have to think ahead, what is your invention going to create? Our doctors have a misconception. When you have abundance, you don't have to worry about nutritional deficiency. I mean, if everybody has a loaf of bread, you don't have to worry about nutritional deficiencies. Everybody has a tomato every day, you don't have to worry about nutritional deficiencies. Well, that's not true. How many minerals are in this wheat field? Here, here, there, here, here, there, here, there. Just what, you know, the minerals are in veins that look like this. Well, in farming, we know that's true, and so we give every animal everything we know they need to maximize their production. Why would you have 100 cows you're feeding, and you just give her hay and some grain, give them hay and grain? If you do that, what's going to happen is, out of the 100 cows you're feeding every year, 30 of them will have miscarriages, they'll have premature births, and they'll have birth defects in 30 to 100 calves. They'll be out of business the next year, because they don't have insurance. So if we give them, for pennies a day, every nutrient we know they need, all 90 essential nutrients, to prevent all that, and each cow has a perfect calf, and they live to, and very efficiently, to either market weight or to reproductive age, without the need for veterinary care, That's the ideal goal. We've done it. We've done it in animals because we don't have insurance. Why should a cow give a cup of milk when she has the capacity to give a gallon of milk for the same amount of feed? All you got to do is add the vitamins and minerals. I often wondered, I don't know how many watch Olympics and World Games and things like that, and it always fascinated me. And we have runners like Jim Fix, who was 6'4". I mean, he was a darling in the medical field because he said, don't supplement, just exercise to keep your artery clean. I mean, this guy had more records from around the world, and he dropped dead at 52. Didn't even make it to 62. Died 10 years earlier than the average athlete. I want you to appreciate, who was it, and still yet today, who is it that wins most of the long distance races like marathons? Some little Ethiopian that's 4'11", doesn't weigh 92 pounds. He always runs in like this. Not these big 6'7" striders, you know. They're dropping dead all along the way. Why did that little guy from Ethiopia always win the marathon? That really fascinated me as a pathologist. Well, here's why. I'm going to put this picture of Thomas Edison beside this picture here on your left. This is a satellite picture from 100 miles up. This is Southern California agricultural land. Pacific Ocean over here, Mexico down here, Arizona over here, Salton Sea. So you know exactly where this is at. This is a small salt lake, about 1/10 the size of the Great Salt Lake in Utah. But what I want you to see here is that nutritional minerals do not occur in a uniform light around the coast of the earth. They occur in veins, like chocolate and chocolate ice cream. So soybeans and sweet potatoes grown here and here and here and there and here and here and there and there and there. Remember, this is like 200 square miles. Here and there and here and there and here and there. They're not going to all have the same amount and variety of minerals. Again, the agricultural industry, we know we have to give them everything they need perfectly to make their genes, DNA, RNA, and telomeres happy to give maximum production, maximum longevity, maximum health. In humans, we just eat well because that's what doctors tell us to do. They train dietitians. Well, you want this percentage of carbohydrate and this percentage of proteins and fats. What does that do for vitamins and minerals? Nothing. That's why we're the most obese nation in the world. We're number one! And doesn't that make you feel warm and fuzzy? No. Okay, just about ready to get to the bottom line here. We have 4 slides left after this one. I think it's worth reminding you here as we go on to these next ones. They're important. The United States Department of Agriculture came out, this was 2012, and said 95% of Americans are minerally deficient. Going back 100 years to 1914, the minerals of our soil over the past 100 years are depleted by 85%. Okay, this was NCSN document 264 way back in 1936. Our farm soils are depleted by minerals, and as a result, our foods are literally starved of nutrition. Medicine cannot compensate for this deficiency. How many nutrients is in Prozac? How many nutrients is in Lipitor? How many nutrients are in Digitalis? We're beginning to get the picture.
Yes.
Okay. This is the core of everything we do in Youngevity. This is a compost pile that's thousands and thousands of years old. There's 100 cubic miles of this stuff. Nobody else has access to this except Youngevity. We have this in perpetuity. For as long as the earth is alive, we have this. Nobody else has it. 100 cubic miles of it. These guys are standing on a road that is 3,000 foot elevation above sea level. And that 25-foot cap up here of limestone, and we know it's marine limestone because the animal fossils and the plant fossils are from the ocean. So we know this stuff's been under the ocean for thousands and thousands of years. It's totally pollution-free. Has 78 minerals in it, including all 60 essential minerals in the proper ratios. Totally organic. Absolutely no pollution in it because it's been under the ocean for thousands of years, so it's been protected. Plus it has all 9 rare earths, including a 6th that has been studied for doubling lifespans. Every year, including this one, June 27th, we're going to give a tour. We take about 10 bus loads out there, 50 people in a bus. And you see that limestone cap again. You see this stuff here, this compost. This is some of the limestone we've chopped off the top. We can make a pyramid with that stuff, right? And these are some of our associates and distributors who really appreciate this to go out there, and when you go out there, you know there's a God. When you see the stuff, you know God exists. A couple of questions here. When do you put oil in your car? Before the engine burns up or after the engine burns up? That's kind of a giggle question. I'm going to ask you to do, when you have a young couple who's getting engaged, or maybe they're kind of running together real hot and you know something's going to happen, right? Or they're getting engaged or they're getting married, instead of giving them $200 to start a household, instead of giving them a set of monogrammed towels, instead of giving them a set of linens to start their house, give them the 90-cent nutritions for both he and her, he and she, right? For 3 months or 6 months or a year, whatever you can afford, and then educate them and say, look, I can't do this forever, but I'm doing this because we know how to prevent every birth defect you can name in 10 times that many you don't know about. Why would you want to have a special needs child when you can prevent it? Why would you want to have a baby born with Down syndrome, cleft palate, spina bifida, cerebral palsy, heart defects, muscular dystrophy, cystic fibrosis, missing limbs, too many fingers, all that kind of stuff? Why would you want that to happen when it's totally unnecessary? We've eliminated all those birth defects in animals, including behavioral things, transgenders, gay men, lesbian women, asexual people, like crazy Aunt Ruthie who died of Spencer at 92, never went on a date, crazy Uncle Frank who never went on a date. You loved him to kind of babysit your house when you went on vacation. These sort of behavioral problems are preventable. Now, you can't fix them. You can't pray them back into the bottle. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. But they're preventable. It's preventable. All birth defects are preventable. Many of them are reversible after the baby's born, but including things that I call inborn errors of metabolism, like lactose intolerance. We can make up the difference with enzymes, but it's preventable. Sickle cell anemia is an inborn error of metabolism. It's not genetic in plaques. It occurs in white people too, but you can't have a black gene in white people, so they call it thalassemia in white people. Doesn't that sound funny to you? Thalassemia in white people is sickle cell anemia in black people. Same disease, but you can't call it that because you can't have a black gene in white coat, you can't have a white gene in black coat. It doesn't fit the theory, right? And that's what I was running into when I was doing all those autopsies and saying, I'm pulling my hair out, saying everything they're saying is not true. There's a problem here. I didn't have the name epigenetics at that point, but I knew something, and that's why my book's in the Smithsonian Institute. Because I was pointing out these problems in 1971 in that 1,200-page book. Everybody kind of laughed at me at that time, but as the years went by, they said, oh my God, Wallach was right. Okay? So, you can prevent all this stuff, especially if you have other children. What happens when a couple has a special needs child and they have 3 normal kids before that? Where's all the energy and the money and time go? The special needs child. And that causes all kinds of friction with the kids and problems. I mean, they could get in real trouble. They do drugs, they commit suicide, they do all kinds of weird stuff because you're spending so much attention on the special needs child. Now, you gotta love those special needs kids once you have one, but you don't need to have one. It's not genetic. It doesn't just happen. And it is preventable. Okay? To me, that's the most important thing. Because I became a physician so I could treat kids with cystic fibrosis and muscular dystrophy. And so it just got to be a bigger project than I'd imagined. We have 800 projects in longevity. We have 800 different programs. We deal with over 900 different diseases. We have a program for each one of them. How to prevent them, how to reverse them, how to manage them better than is currently being managed. My favorite programs are the ones that give you all 90 essential nutrients. We have about 25 of them. My favorite of the favorites is the Healthy Start Pack. We have 2 versions. We have the original, and then we have the 2.0, which is a kind of update. Switch out a couple of ingredients because some people were kind of maybe allergic to shellfish and things like that, which is in this one, but they're not in 2.0 kind of thing. So because we knew that that sort of thing was there, we made 2 versions of it. This contains 245 nutrients. It gives you all perfect nutrition of 90 essential nutrients appropriate for 100 pounds of human flesh for a month. So you give this to a 100-pound person, this is good for a month. Divide it in half goes to breakfast and dinner. If there's a 50-pound kid or a 50-pound Spanish vegetarian who's 40 years old, in each case this will last 2 months because nothing else matters except the body weight. Okay? Then, if this is a 200-pound person, you have to give him 2 of these. 1 full dose of everything at breakfast, 1 full dose at dinner. That 400-pound pastor, he had to take 4 of those a day, plus the ASAP. Drops you put under the tongue, it speeds up the metabolism, and he was losing 4 pounds a day. Wow. He never had to have any surgery because all his skin tightened up has he lost the weight? Huh? And of course, we have Miss Michigan here, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, how long have you been on the product here?
I've been on them for about almost 4 years.
All right.
And I haven't, since I've been on the product, I haven't.
Why don't you stand up?
Hello,
Isn't
everybody.
she beautiful? Miss Michigan?
Before I got on the product, I suffered very badly from sinus issues. Every day I was waking up, I had the whole drainage and sneezing and the whole itching in the ear thing. Every year I had colds. Since I've been on the product, about 2.5 weeks, I haven't had one sniffle, I haven't had one cold. So almost 4 years, no colds, no sniffles, no sinus issues. I've been perfect. Thank you, Dr.
And how old are you? How old are you now?
Thank you, Dr. Wallach.
Looks 30 years younger than she is.
Can I say something? Can I say 29 and get away with it? I'm lying, but.
Okay, so we have 25 prepared programs, so you don't have to think about much. You just do what it says to do. And they're all based on the Healthy Start Pack, which I just showed you. You don't have to take the Healthy Start Pack and the program. But this is the core. You can look, you can see that the Healthy Start Pack is in the core of each one of these things. What would you use the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack for? Type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes, you just reduce your medications. Your doctors have taught you to do as your blood sugar drops, you will. Type 1 diabetics, you'll never be able to totally get off of insulin. You'll be able to reduce it by 90%. You'll be able to cut your times a day you need to check your blood sugar from maybe 6 or 8 times a day to maybe once or twice. Complications go away, and you'll live 30, 50 years longer. Kind of amazing, no complication. Type 2 diabetes, usually within 2 weeks to 2 months, you're next diabetic. How long do you have to stay on the 90 essential nutrients? For life. Because next week, next year, 5 years from now, 50 years from now, those minerals will still not be in the soil. So you'll just have to take it forever, right? For life is like oxygen and water. Okay, what would you use a Healthy Bone and Joint Pack for? Well, osteopenia, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, degenerative arthritis, bone arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. You got to throw in either a group of herbs that kill bugs or the minocycline, the tetracycline antibiotic that kills the minocycline, or kills the mycoplasma, the bug that contributes to the cause of rheumatoid arthritis. And then there's periodontal disease. Periodontal disease is osteoporosis of the face. Why do you think little old people look like little old people? Because they lose the bone in their face, they get receding gums, they get loose teeth, and dentists will put implants in, they'll give them dentures. You get them on the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, their teeth tighten up like you put cement around a fence post, the gums come back up because the bones come back. And they look, and this is why these ladies look 25, 30 years younger than they are, because they haven't had osteoporosis of the face. Begin to make sense?
Yes.
Little old people, both men and women, look older as they lose the bone in their face. People forget. You don't get osteoporosis and osteopenia just in your legs and your hips and your ribs and your vertebrae. It's everywhere, including your skull and your jaw.
Wow.
Doctors never talk about that. They should be put in jail. It's like never telling you to lubricate the bearings in your front wheels. They just keep burning up. I don't know why that is. And then, of course, there's sarcoidosis. There is fibromyalgia. There's lupus. Same thing, Healthy Bone and Joint Pack and a gluten-free diet. Bone spurs, kidney stones. The one that I love is when you have kidney stones, the first thing the medical doctor will tell you is, no calcium, got to stop calcium supplements, no dairy. Well, you should be put in jail for that because when you have kidney stones, you have raging osteoporosis. All those kidney stones came from your bones, not from your diet. And your parathyroid glands will enlarge. Oh, you got to take your parathyroid glands out. No, they're just working like you're working a muscle, carrying buckets of milk. Oh, let's cut your arms off because they're getting big because you're carrying buckets of milk. They should be put in jail for that. They disable you when they take your parathyroid glands out. All you have to do is take the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack. Your blood calcium, which should be between 8.5 and 10.5 milligrams per deciliter. I think it's 25. That freaks doctors out. Oh, you got to stop calcium. You get in the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, within weeks it comes down to 8. Because all that calcium was pulled out of your bones by your parathyroids overworking. Why is it that they don't teach physiology in medical schools? They spend all their time teaching them how to send you a bill, First thing you walk in the door, they didn't even ask your name. They say, how are you going to pay? All right? Okay, healthy digestion pact. Belching, burping, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, farting, all that stuff. Reflux. There is no such thing as acid reflux. How many of you heard of acid reflux? Lies! That's one of the failed medical theories. There is no such thing as acid reflux. When you have reflux, it's lack of acid reflux. Your stomach environment should be a pH of 1.2, 1.5, 1 being the most acid, 14 being the most alkaline, 7 being neutral. Your stomach environment should be 1.2, 1.5. Very, 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 very acid. Now, it gets up above 3 or 4, moving towards neutral 7, yeast and bacteria begin to grow in there. And when you eat carbohydrates and sugar, they begin to ferment just like they're making beer or wine in your stomach. Lots of gas, heartburn, reflux. You get your stomach acid down to 1.2 again, reflux stops immediately. So why wouldn't I want to just take antacids? Well, you take antacids, you take proton pump inhibitors and stop stomach acid production. Within the next 5 years, you're going to have 20 new diseases you didn't have because you won't be able to absorb any nutrients. You need an acid environment to digest proteins down into amino acids because their pepsin won't work without acid. You won't be able to absorb vitamin B12. You won't be able to absorb minerals without an acid environment in your stomach. Why do people have to go every month to get a B12 shot by their doctor? Because their doctor said, no salt. And you can't make stomach acid without salt. Salt is the raw material to make stomach acid, remember? And so you go in every month to get a B12 injection because your intrinsic factor won't work without an acid environment in your stomach. All these are doctor-caused diseases. Remember, only dead doctors don't lie. Healthy brain and heart pack. Healthy brain and heart pack. We're talking about, let's say here, there's 5 different dementias. Doctors always bill for Alzheimer's disease because they get paid the most for Alzheimer's disease. They never bill for the other 4, even if they know you got them. So they bill for the one they're going to get paid the most for, Alzheimer's disease. There's vascular dementia, where you have plugged arteries in the brain. There's Korsakoff syndrome, which is a deficiency of a single vitamin. There's Wernicke-Korsakoff, which is a deficiency of that vitamin plus MS mixed in with it. There's a B12 deficiency dementia, and then there's Alzheimer's disease, which is a cholesterol deficiency. And then, of course, there's Huntington's disease, Parkinson's disease, Lou Gehrig's disease, and MS. All those are the brain diseases. And then there's congestive heart failure, cardiomyopathy, heart disease, coronary artery disease, and thrombotic stroke and thrombotic coronary artery disease. Okay? And so you take this, and I would throw in also the ultimate daily tablets and to help support healthy blood flow through obstructed arteries. I would also use this for kidney failure. Also over here, I'd throw in the aromatherapy oil from Ancient Legacy. I'd put in peppermint oil. Char, remember 1 o'clock in the morning? Yep. Pastor Hunter, okay, from the oldest Black Baptist church in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We were talking to him for his diabetes and his joint problems. He played basketball in university, big 6'5" guy, very slim. His wife was sitting next to me, and Char was sitting across from me. His wife is going, bleh, I mean, every 10 seconds she's belching and burping. She's a pastor's wife, so I can't be rude to her. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to deal with his diabetes and his arthritis, and she's sitting there burping and belching in my ear. And so I said, ma'am, how long have you been uncomfortable like this? I'm biting my lips so I don't say anything else. And she goes, bleh. And he said, oh, she's been like that ever since I've known her. Really, it must have been great on a date. So I said, have you ever tried peppermint oil? Because I happen to have some in my pocket, which I have. Yeah, I even have it right now. I have peppermint oil. Okay? And she goes, she's fearing for her life. He says, oh, the doctor told her there's too much acid in peppermint. Don't take peppermint. Yeah. Does it smell great, peppermint? Yeah. And so I went, in the lobby of the hotel, 1 o'clock in the morning, they got these machines with the hot water, the coffee, and the decaf. So I drew a cup of hot water, put 4 drops of the peppermint oil in there, and I said, just smell it, don't drink it, just smell it. I'm looking at him with one eye, talking to him about his diabetes and arthritis. I'm looking at her with the other eye, a chameleon, right? And she's going, and you can tell she's smelling it, and she's already starting to burp and belch less. She couldn't resist anymore, she took a sip. And I'm going to show you what happened. And as God is my witness, Char is my witness, she was there. She gets up, she goes, I'm cured! I'm cured! I'm cured! I'm cured! I'm cured! In less than 30 seconds. Char? Char? Is that true?
She stopped.
Immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah. Okay? In just like 10 seconds. And so we've been using this on people with acid reflux ever since. We have an enzyme with stomach acid in it, ultimate enzymes. Oh my gosh. We want to get rid of reflux, aka acid reflux. It really should be called lack of acid reflux. And once you know what it is, nobody should ever go to a gastroenterologist again and have an endoscopic instrument put down and kill you because they can't clean them. We read that in the newspaper. They can't clean the damn things. They kill people right, left, and center. Oh, let's all have that done. Okay, I got one more slide, and then you guys can give, Okay, you can do your drawing. Let me do one more slide here, and then after they do the drawing, I'll answer questions for 30 minutes, and we got to run. Our travels today are not yet over. Remember, we have programs for over 900 different diseases. We have programs for over 900 different diseases, including prevention and reversal. But 85% of what you're going to run into will be taken care of by these 4 major programs. It doesn't matter. You cannot hurt anybody. It's not like a pharmaceutical. You give the wrong pharmaceutical to somebody, you hurt them. You give 2 pharmaceuticals together, polypharmacy, you can kill them. Okay? In this case, you can't hurt them. I get people who, all they do is they tell us that they have arthritis in their knee, and we give them the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, and they come back a month later and say, well, my arthritis is gone, but I'm just really amazed that I was blind with macular degeneration, that went away too. We have people who have been legally blind for 6, 8, 10 years, and in 90 days they read 20 without glasses. We do this thousands of times a month. Once we learned what was going on, but they're telling us this sort of stuff. What? And one doctor called me a liar when I said that. I made a little wager with him. Make a long story short. Yep, doctor. Yep. And he brought me 27 charts the next day. All of these people were legally blind for 6, 8, 10 years with macular degeneration. And he said he would take all 27 and pay for the supplements. But if I failed, he was going to destroy me. I said, okay, let's go for it. He was kind of shocked that I was that casual about it. And so he was going to pay for all the supplements. I wrote down exactly what he had to do, and I had to give him credit. He did it, as I said. In 90 days, he re-examined them all. All 27 could read 20/20 after 90 days. Only 2 required glasses, 25 didn't even require glasses. So as his apology, I thought he was going to take me out to dinner and stand up in the restaurant and apologize to the people in the restaurant. But instead, he did something better. He made me a CD called Seeing is Believing and told the story.
Yeah.
That's where that CD, Seeing is Believing, came from. And every year, this is about 12 years ago, and he called me a liar in front of 300 people. And so he was a little pressurized too, right? Because I could have sued him, right away. But anyway, and so better than that, he made the CD for me. Every year I sell millions of them for $3 a piece. That's a pretty good apology, isn't it? Do the math, okay. So, hard tissue stuff, bones, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, disc between the vertebrae, that kind of stuff. Healthy Bone and Joint Pack. Soft tissue, heart, brain, liver, kidneys, lungs, muscles even. Soft tissue, Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. What would you do for blood sugar problems? Diabetes type 2, diabetes type 1, anxiety attacks, panic attacks, narcolepsy, which we can call reactive hypoglycemia. A lot of times, it'll cause things like depression, manic depression, bipolar disease, that kind of stuff. ADD, ADHD, it'll contribute to autism. Healthy blood sugar pack. Healthy digestion pack, okay, when you have digestive problems. This is not difficult. And we're talking about reflux. Okay, we're talking about constipation, diarrhea, belching, burping, bloating, farting, heartburn. We're talking about irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease. We're talking about colitis, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease. You get on a gluten-free diet, you get on the healthy digestion pack. You don't have to have 3 feet of your intestine removed for Crohn's disease. We do this thousands of times a year. Crohn's disease, we get rid of it. It's not an autoimmune disease. It's a gluten intolerance. You get them on a gluten-free diet, and you give them the support for the digestive system, it all goes away. Char, you seen that happen? Judy, you seen that happen?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No problems.
Andrea, you've seen miracles in people you're working with, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, I have to tell you, I learned about the network marketing. This will only be about 2 minutes. I learned about the network marketing thing when I first graduated school in 1978, naturopathic medical school. In Portland, Oregon, naturopathic doctors way back then, 36 years ago, were primary care physicians. And so I was a primary care physician, and I started lecturing up and down Highway 5, and I'd get 300 new patients a week. I couldn't handle them in my office. I'm a brand new doctor, I just didn't have everything. Even though I bought a practice, existing practice, I didn't have all the patients. I'm getting 300 new patients a week for my lectures. And so I was giving a free lecture every Tuesday night for 1 hour. To have these 300 people, sometimes be 500 people come to my lectures, because I was going to tell them why I was different, what I was doing differently, what I expected from them from the nutritional standpoint, what to do with their diets. And so I realized, and it dawned on me that suddenly now I'm doing 400 hours worth of work in 1 hour. Instead of having to spend an hour with each patient training them, I'm training 400 of them in 1 hour. I'm doing 400 hours worth of work in 1 hour. So if I could train a whole bunch of people to do the same thing, I'll be able to do thousands of people per hour, thousands of hours worth. And so now, every month I pay 250,000 PAs, physicians assistants, to do what I just showed you what to do here. On a bad day, through their eyes, I see about 2 million patients. On a good day, I see about 5 million patients through their eyes. Char sees about 500,000 herself. I have one lady who sees 900,000 patients every day through her system of PAs and through all computers and all that kind of stuff. That's where these books come from. I mean, I get so much data that we got 3 more new books coming out here in the next couple of months. Okay? To give you the information we accumulated. So, we're looking for help. We're growing. We're seeing 10,000 new patients a month now. It's like going crazy. We're publicly traded. We give stock options. We give car bonuses up to $1,000 a month.
Yep.
Get a pretty nice Porsche for that. Mercedes, whatever you want, right? And this is a willable asset. If you work for a company for 30 years, can you will your job to your kid? Can you sell your job when you retire to somebody? No. But you spend a couple hours a week doing your longevity program and helping other people. I will pay you an obscene amount of money.
Yep.
You don't need to go to school for 1 minute. We will train you for nothing. How's that? You only have to pay wholesale for all the products. How's that? You get an auto ship, you don't even have to pay shipping. You save another 8%. I'll pay the shipping if you get an auto ship, okay? Okay? Why don't you guys come on up here, do your thing, and then I'll answer questions. Thank you very much. I'll be back
Has everyone got a ticket, blue ticket? We're going to draw for some 3 items here. We're going to give out some gifts. So if you don't have a blue ticket, let's get a blue ticket.
That helps.
No, I don't know. Anybody get a ticket?
Okay, listen up, everyone. So I call out numbers.
Attention, please, for a moment.
Gonna win something free here.
Well, that's why that,
Okay, attention for a moment.
326065.
That's the wrong number.
326065.
Is that for a driver? Yes. Oh, I think you'd get like a Callaway driver.
This is by Dr. Wallach, wanted, dead or alive, FDA, wanted, dead or alive, Big Pharma, wanted, dead or alive, medical doctor.
This is his newest.
Newest CD.
Public enemy number one.
Yeah.
326077. 326077.
you know what? The tag is closed, but it's either 17 or 17. Here's the other one that's.
Okay. Nobody else. You better get some of those minerals.
Right.
326111. Okay.
Pretty good, Pete.
The next one is Hell's Kitchen.
I need that since there's a lot of germs in the kitchen.
Not going to, well. 326126. 326126.
Stir 'em up.
Let's Play Doctor Book by Dr. Wallach. Come on. All right. 326120.
Mix 'em up again.
This is the DVD, Dead Doctors Don't Lie. DVD. Watch this. Share it with your friends. Right. 326119. 326119. Anybody? Okay, thank you.
Don't get up.
Another DVD from Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Three, 26058.
Bingo.
Getting close.
DVD by Dr. Glidden. What supplements to take and why? Very good. 326053.
Getting close.
326053.
Pretty soon I'll be the only one left.
What supplements to take and why? And 326048. 326048. Okay. A book version of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. 326061. Wow. One more to go. Let's play Herbal Doctor. How to use herbs effectively. 326117. 326117.
Oh, good.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. So, shall we open it up for questions for Dr. Wallach?
Yeah, we'll do it for about 30 minutes.
Okay.
And so what I want you to do, pay attention, because if somebody asks a question about arthritis in the right knee, it'll work on their left shoulder too. So you kind of want to listen from that angle, because I'm not going to get to everybody here in 30 minutes. I'm going to give you two numbers. Okay, whoever watching here, well, let me ask you this question. How many of you are not already using Young Glutathione, or not already using Young Glutathione? Oh, good. So whoever got you here tonight, make sure you sign up with them, and they'll be your kind of mentor and walk you through this. How'd you advertise, Pete?
Newspaper, email,
Radio. Okay. How many of you came from newspaper or radio? Raise your hand. Okay, cool. Want to be sure to see Pete and his crew. Let them sign you up and get you into the system. They will mentor you. They don't charge you anything. They'll mentor you to make sure you walk through this properly and you get all the discounts and everything appropriate for you. Okay? Phone call. Okay, good. Okay, here we go. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Yes, yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Raise this a little bit. All right. Yes, ma'am.
I'm totally sold. I can't go to a doctor to get a total examination to find out what's going on in my body. And I would assume you don't take any more patients. How do I get a proper diagnosis and also to find out if I'm allergic to gluten?
Okay, very simple. Are you wearing makeup right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know you're severely minerally deficient from here. You know how I know that, Shar? Why do I know she's minerally deficient?
White hair, no copper.
Okay, you have copper deficiency. And somebody with,
Doesn't age enter into that?
nope, age has nothing to do with it.
Nope.
Age has nothing to do with white hair. Also, when you have white hair, and okay, you have white hair, or you have a copper deficiency, you also are going to are always going to have spider veins, varicose veins. Yes, you were doing this.
So a little.
It doesn't matter. It's like being pregnant. Either you is, you ate a little, you weren't a little, okay. And so you're going to have varicose veins and hemorrhoids, which are varicose veins in a funny place, right? And then you'll also get aneurysms. You get a breakdown of the elastic fibers in the walls of your arteries and veins. You can die suddenly from an aneurysm up here, aneurysm down here.
I'm there.
You already have an aneurysm, or you had
And
one?
they're worried about in here.
Okay, had
But
one.
now, see, I'm afraid to go to the doctors. I need to be
I know
under
that.
their care.
I know. Now, also, gluten intolerance causes common things. Did you have asthma as a kid?
Never.
Do you have bronchitis?
No.
Do you have children?
No.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
No.
You're an only child.
Mhm.
Okay. Did your mother have any respiratory problems?
I have no idea. We never could afford to go to doctors back in the
Well, you can
day.
tell she couldn't breathe or not.
Well, no, but she lasted a good long time. I don't think she had any of those problems.
Okay. Have you had any bowel problems? Constipation, diarrhea,
No.
irritable bowel syndrome? You have your appendix out?
Yes.
Oh! You have gluten intolerance. You have appendicitis caused by gluten intolerance. So you have gluten intolerance. So absolutely no wheat, barley, rye, or oats.
Oh, yeah.
No wheat, barley, rye, or oats.
And which one of your books?
I'm gonna tell you all this in a second. Give me a second. I'm educating 100 people here.
Okay.
See, you're the light that's getting educational. If this is worth the 5 minutes this is going to take. The thing that gives away gluten intolerance without test, because the test is a biopsy of your intestine. You don't want that. There's risk involved. But if you have celiac disease, you have appendicitis, diverticulitis, irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, colitis, ulcerative Crohn's disease, you have eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis, rosacea, if you have a history of 6, 8, 10, 12 diseases, they're all nutritional deficiencies. Yeah, well, you have a bunch of them
Oh, okay.
because you already told me you have aneurysm, you have things like, you have a carotid artery problem, right? You already have varicose veins, you have hemorrhoids, right? Well, you told me yes right here. Even a little bit, doesn't matter if it's a little or a big one, internal, external, doesn't matter. This is all reversible by supplementing properly. You take the healthy brain and heart pack and it all goes away. And within months, your hair color will be coming back, and it always comes back here. And I've actually had people say, I like my gray hair. Well, go ahead and die. Because you want that hair color to come back, which means you're repairing all those vascular problems. Okay, now, the book that's going to give you what you want to know, what you ask her, what do I do for a diagnosis? I don't want to go to a doctor. Number one, you can actually call a nurse practitioner and talk with them as opposed to a doctor. I would do that. But what you want to do is get a hold of that book, Let's Play Doctor, and look in I believe it's chapter 7, it's a home laboratory chapter. It'll tell you how to go to your pharmacy without a prescription, get all the same test strips your doctor will use in his office for a $2,000 physical. You get the same test strips for blood tests. Why would you want on your permanent record that you have pre-diabetes or metabolic syndrome or type 2 diabetes? You're not going to get promotions, your insurance goes up, and everybody's going to look at you a little bit funny because you already have this genetic disease. Not genetic, but they think it's genetic disease, right? When you do that yourself, you don't need to go to a doctor for a diagnosis of diabetes. You stick yourself in the finger, you run the test against the rainbow in the bottle, get one of those little machines to read it, and it'll tell you if your blood sugar is above 100 or not. You can do your own 6-hour blood glucose tolerance test to see if you have reactive hypoglycemia or narcolepsy. Okay? If you have pain in your knee, the odds are you have arthritis. You don't need to have a doctor say, oh, you have arthritis. It doesn't matter if it's in your thumb. It doesn't matter if it's in your wrist, your elbow, your neck. Okay? The one I love are things like, how many of you have heard of AFib, atrial fibrillation?
Yes.
Atrial fibrillation is what's called a peripheral neuropathy. It's not a heart disease at all. Atrial fibrillation, where you get palpitations of your heart, you might even get tachycardia, rapid heart rate. The part where it happens in your ventricle, you get ventricular tachycardia. It's not a heart problem. And doctors want to put in pacemakers and they'll put in defibrillators. It's not going to work because it's not a heart problem, it's a back problem. What happens is, when you get degenerative disc disease, the discs get thicker, the vertebrae get closer together, and they smash the roots of the spinal nerves coming out from between thoracic vertebrae 1, 2, 3, and 4. And those spinal nerves control the rate and rhythm of your heart. You're getting pinched because the vertebrae are getting closer and closer together. The doctor says, oh, you got AFib, man. I got to give you all these blood thinners because you're going to get a blood clot. No, if you get a blood clot, it's because you have omega-3 essential fatty acid deficiency. Okay? And so, what you want to do is avoid the next step, of course, which is ablation. You want to kill portions of your heart to see if they can find the places running amok so they can slow down your heart. That's not going to work because it's not a heart problem, it's a back problem. Next, they do what's called a retroversion, where they electrocute you to death and hope to reboot your heart rhythm. Well, that's not going to work because it's not a heart problem, it's a back problem. The next thing on the list is heart transplant. Altogether, you're going to get $500,000 for heart procedures. That's not a heart problem, it's a back problem. Same thing with irritable bladder syndrome, where you get incontinent, you pee on yourself, you get urgency, you can't empty your bladder. I got many women in particular that call me all the time saying, I've had UTIs, urinary tract infections for 25 years. I've been on antibiotics every day for 25 years. I said, well, first thing we need to do is fire your doctor. He's either very stupid and should have his license taken away from him, or he's a criminal and he's milking you like an ATM machine, one or the other or both. Okay? Because you have a lower back problem, don't you? Well, yeah, how'd you know that?
I had spinal surgery, I was paralyzed from the knees down, and they did correct the surgery, but the surgery.
Well, of course they did. But they didn't need to do surgery. You lucked out and survived.
Well, my legs didn't work.
I know, but you're not listening to me.
Okay.
That's called a peripheral neuropathy. What was happening was you had spinal stenosis or you had something of that nature which was squeezing either the spinal cord and or the spinal nerve in your lumbar area, which caused your legs to be paralyzed. What they did was they chopped certain amounts of bone out to take the pressure off the nerves, whether it's neck or the lumbar area. Yeah, and so now your legs work. That's not a miracle. That's just kind of like rotor-rooting the roots out of a sewer when the plug, they're plugged with tree roots, and you're flooding your bathtub. Okay? And so it's just a mechanical treatment. They really didn't solve the problem. Okay? Because the problem is really you have osteoporosis. You have that kind of problem going on, peripheral neuropathy. Okay? Now, another one I love is when women wake up at night 6 times to go to the bathroom to take a pee. Now, you have that problem? Mm-hmm. Well, I guarantee it's not a prostate problem. But most doctors, the first thing, oh, you got somebody that's waking up at night to take a pee, it's a prostate. Well, I'm a girl. Oh, let me think about that. They don't even think about a peripheral neuropathy squeezing the nerves to control the bladder. Okay, so you still have some problems, but you still have that problem, right? You still have back problems. So, you're a perfect candidate for the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack. What do you weigh?
Well, probably about 180 now.
Okay, so you need 2 Healthy Bone and Joint Packs per month. Full dose of everything twice a day. Then immediately, I want you to take, in each case, you get a jar of what we call CM cream, which is an analgesic, a pain reliever, an anti-inflammatory cream. I want you to get from our Ancient Legacy division what we call trauma oil. Put 6 drops of the trauma oil in a teaspoon of that CM cream. Put that on your lumbar area, particularly where you had the surgery, okay? Put it on your neck, okay, but put it on your lumbar area also, right down the middle, just on either side. Oftentimes that'll give you enough symptomatic relief that you won't be waking up in the middle of the night. because it'll relieve the inflammation around the roots of those nerves. I take it 4 to 6 months, and I can legally say to support and promote maintenance and repair of cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, discs between the vertebrae, bone makes bone itself, and it'll permanently go away. Okay? We avoid surgery millions of times a year because you see you still have a lot of the problems, even though your legs are working, which is very, very good, but there's also risk of danger. I want you to think about, I want you to think about Joan Rivers. Her voice was changing, and so she went into a storefront clinic in California. A storefront clinic was put under general anesthesia. Oh, they forgot to turn on the oxygen. She was brain dead, and she died at age 81. Okay? No smoking.
No, leave that up.
Okay, good. Okay, so you get the idea. Call me every 2 weeks.
Thank
I'll give you a number in a minute. Yes, ma'am. Wait a minute. No, this one is wrong here. Okay, well, rheumatoid arthritis, we want to take the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, 1 per 100 pounds of body weight. So if you weigh 3, then take 1 for each 100 pounds of body weight. That'll be 15 to 20 glucogel a day, 5 at breakfast, lunch, dinner, and bedtime, right? What? Now, Charmaine, what do you weigh? Stand up, I can't hear you. What do you weigh? Okay, so how many glucogel do you take a day?
12.
You're taking 3 and she's taking 12? She weighs 110 pounds?
But I just tell you, my doctor, my rheumatologist, is so
Amazed?
amazed that she's now a distributor.
Yay! You see, she's smarter than the average bear, isn't she? I love it. Now we gotta work on your weight, right? So what I would do is throw in what, Char? ASAP. And get 2 bottles of ASAP. Put a dropper full under your tongue 30 minutes before your meal, and a second dropper full under your tongue 15 minutes before each meal. Let it absorb to your oral tissues. Don't swallow. It won't hurt you if you swallow it, but you won't get the best result. And within a couple of days, you'll start losing a ½ pound to 2 pounds a day, maybe even 4 pounds a day. You've lost 100 and what? 111. Is that on their products?
Yes.
Let's give her a hand, folks. I'm very proud of you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And so, yeah, what you want to do, there's 2 ways you can do it, and there's actually 3 ways.
I need to know what that other thing is.
Yeah, it's called, well, what I like what we call Killer Body. The guy his size. Is him? Is his rheumatoid arthritis?
No.
Oh, you. Okay, well, you'd need 12 of the Killer Bodies a day, 4 breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There'll be 3 bottles a month of the Killer Bodies, a blend of 8 herbs that support your immune system, plus 2 of them actually have antimicrobial properties and kill bugs. Bacteria, including mycoplasma, right? And then, of course, there's minocycline, which is a tetracycline category antibiotic, which will kill the bug also. Some people like to do both. They like to do the minocycline and the killer bug. So those are your choices, right? And I am licensed in California. I really should see patients like yourself when I write a prescription. But you can go to some nurse practitioner who writes you a prescription for minocycline, because it's actually in the Merck manual, okay, to take minocycline for mycoplasma infection.
Hello.
Oh, you know your audience.
I've been trying to get your attention from the beginning. I've been trying to talk to you for a lot of years. But
Okay, go ahead.
I want to sit down.
Yeah,
I even got your book.
Yeah,
See, I had to go see my book. It's all red. See?
Yeah, give me a question.
Okay, so I was an American longevity.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, and I was taking the orange 90 Essentials. Started getting kidney stones. Doctor's taking me off all that, because you can't have all the orange and all that. I have kidney stones now every 2 weeks. I just had a 5 millimeter come out this morning, and with a whole bunch behind it, and just killing me.
Are you ready to stop?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, are you wearing makeup?
No.
Are your cheeks always pink like that?
Maybe I was a little embarrassed. I don't know. Maybe that's why I could have thought out the side.
Are you his wife?
Yeah.
Are his cheeks always kind of pink?
Yeah, he's got dark complexion anyway, but he's been out in the sun.
That's not what I'm asking you. Are his cheeks always kind of pink?
Yeah.
Okay, he's got rosacea.
Like, oh.
Okay, I can see it from here. You got rosacea. This means you have gluten intolerance. You must be gluten-free, because if you have a gluten intolerance, you're only absorbing 10 to 15% of what you take in. That's why you're having a problem. You must be gluten-free, like he's got to be gluten-free. The dog, the cat, the bird, and the fish, Because most dog foods and cat foods and bird food, fish food,
The dog.
especially the dry foods, have grains in them, which are gluten. Everybody in the house, including the dog and the cat and the bird and the fish, spouse, mother-in-law, everybody's got to be gluten-free. Otherwise, you're not gluten-free. What do you do for a living? Don't tell me you work in Panera Bread.
I do door-to-door sales.
You do what?
Door-to-door sales, I'm out walking.
What do you sell?
Construction stuff.
Okay, so you're not working with bread and dough and all that kind of stuff.
But I
What do
work
you do
out
for a
here in
living?
India, that's how I learned about it.
What do you do for a living?
Oh, I do a lot of paperwork background.
Okay, paperwork, okay. So you gotta get the gluten out of the house, okay?
So that's been the problem all along.
That's been the problem all
Even
along.
with the 90 essentials, I'm still.
Well, it doesn't matter if you're not absorbing it, does it?
Yeah.
Okay, so then, ladies, ladies. Okay. Then I want you to take, what do you weigh, about 220, something like that?
235, 240.
Okay, so I want you to take 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month. Okay, I want you to take an extra bottle of Osseo, so you can take 3 ounces a day of the Osseo, ounce of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then I want you to get 2 large bottles of glucogel, so you can take 15 of those a day, 5 at breakfast, 5 at lunch, 5 at dinner. Okay, but you got to get drop-dead gluten-free. Everything you have in the house now, don't just say, well, we'll use it up. Give it to a church, get a tax deduction, get it out tonight, bag it up tonight. Every grocery store has a gluten-free aisle. We have gluten-free meals. It's in our Go Foods division, which have a 25-year shelf life. And so I would be getting some of those things so you have them around in case there's a breakdown in the grid. Or
All pasta, all that stuff.
anything made from wheat, barley, rye, and oats. There is no such thing as gluten-free oats. The gluten in oatmeal is called gliadin, but it's still, gluten by any other name is still gluten. You can't have oats, wheat, barley, rye. That means beer, scotch, bourbon,
I don't drink.
rye, whiskey. Okay, milkshakes are okay, but malted milks are not. Where do they make malted milks from? Malted rye.
I haven't been drinking milk.
It doesn't matter. I'm educating a room full of people. I don't care if you don't breathe. I'm educating a room full of people. Okay? And so I'm not answering your question. I'm answering your question for all of them. Okay, so cool your jets. Okay. So if you're not doing something that I'm saying be worried about, then you don't have to worry about it because you're already not doing it, right? So now this is for life. This is not until you just feel good. All of this is for the rest of your life. Now, do you have any brothers and sisters? You got to tell them because they're gluten intolerant too. And the girls, your sisters, and your girl cousins from your mama's side are all passing this on to their kids. And so you have to warn them. You got to have a family meeting, whether it's on the phone, or a telephone conference with everybody, so you only have to do it once. If you do not do this, I would get them all a present for the birthdays or Christmas. It's called Serial Killers. It tells you all the hidden places you find gluten. How do you think Cracker Barrel and Denny's holds their meatloaf and meatballs together? Wheat flour. Okay, how do they thicken gravy? Wheat flour. How does Denny's and IHOP fluff up their omelets and their scrambled eggs? Oh, just read their menu. They tell you they put pancake batter and waffle batter in their omelets and then their scrambled eggs to fluff them up. So you're not just getting eggs. A lot of those places, when you go to buffets, it'll be 60% oil. So they look like scrambled eggs, but they're 60% oil, 20% dried egg powder, and 20% wheat flour. Then you go to one of those places that has these beautiful, good-tasting scrambled eggs that are all fluffed up and say, okay, do these eggs come from a carton or a plastic bag, or are these cracked eggs? If they're cracked eggs, I want to see the shells. You have to be that obsessive. Otherwise, you will kill yourself, okay?
So what about like soy flour and all that stuff?
I don't give a rat's tail about soy flour. It has nothing to do with
That's
gluten.
in all the stuff now too.
It doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter. If you're not allergic to soy, it doesn't matter. If you're allergic to soy, don't eat it. So I won't hurt you if you're not allergic to it. Yes.
I canceled surgery yesterday.
Congratulations. Give her a hand, folks. This is like alcohol. This is like surgery anonymous. I love this.
Plaster in my legs. I was supposed to have stents, angioplasty, stents in my leg.
I can see that.
When the doctor said, he sent me to imaging and have another ultrasound. And I said, what is this for?
What do you need that for? I can see it.
He said, it's for your veins. And I said, what's that mean? He said, well, you may have to do a bypass. And I got scared and I said, well, bypass is more, there's more risk than just angioplasty when you stand in. So, where do I go from now?
Okay, now,
I just talked to the doctor this afternoon.
I'm glad you canceled.
I'll let you know.
okay, he can have a beer with his other buddy and say, how do I talk this woman into this? I need a Mercedes payment. Okay, so, yeah, and so I actually had pictures of a gal who had veins like you have, only they were like 2 inches in diameter, like a garden hose.
My arteries are very, very small.
But yeah, yours are clogged, but I'm talking about the veins, which I can see from here. Okay, yeah. Those are all those purpley things that look like road maps. Well, if you don't want people to see them, wear long pants. Okay, so in 3 months' time, we take these varicose veins that are 2 inches in diameter down to less than the size of a lead in a lead pencil. Less than a millimeter or 2 in diameter. Okay, you've had your chance now, you gotta be quiet. Okay, so, I know, but you also have varicose veins.
They're not popping out.
Okay, do you want to get better, or do you want to keep talking? Please don't battle with me. I'm giving you $1 million worth of free advice. I'm going to have to start charging people that ask me too many questions. Okay. Yeah, there has to be pain for breaking the rules. Okay. All right. So what I want you to do, what do you weigh?
130.
130, okay. I want you to take 1 healthy brain and heart pack per month, get an extra bottle of selenium, because I want you to take 6 a day, 3 at breakfast, 3 at dinner for the selenium, half a dose of everything else twice a day. Then I want you to take what we call ultimate daily tablets. Okay, I want you to take 3 of those twice, maybe 1 bottle a month. Okay, and that's to support and promote healthy vascular health and so on. Also, including the arteries. Also, because see, if that's happening in your leg, guess what? It's happening in your neck, it's happening in your heart, it's happening in your eyes, it's happening in your brain. It's not just happening in your leg. But you notice, with all this vascular problem, what's the color of her hair? White.
Well, I'm 87 years
It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with age. I see kids who are 10 years old with hair whiter than yours. They're as white as, their hair is as white as sheets. But in 6 months' time, it goes back to their normal color. But I love my white hair. Okay. It's going to change. Okay. Because when it changes, that means the arteries are opening up. In addition to the in addition to the Ultimate Daily Tablets, 3 twice a day, 1 bottle a month, I also want you to get 2 bottles of HGH. HGH, 3 letters. Harry, George, Harry. HGH. 2 bottles a month. I want you to take 6 of those at breakfast and 6 at dinner time. It'll take a little while to do that. But they're little capsules, so it's kind of easy. And take it with food rather than water. If you take it with water, it'll be this big with water, right? It'll slosh around. But every capsule you take just with a half a teaspoon of some food and swallow the food and the capsule together, you won't get all filled up with water. Now, the purpose of this is, of course, for your lining of your arteries to make nitric oxide, which do what? Dilate your arteries. Yep. It's kind of like using things when you're having chest pain. Use nitroglycerin, actually releases nitric oxide in your arteries. This does the same thing without prescription. Okay. Now you have to stop the ongoing damage, which means you have to change everything you've been doing because of what you've been doing that got you in trouble. No fried foods. I don't care. I don't care. You'll say, yeah, I'm careful where the landmines. I walk between them. Bam! You're dead. Okay. No fried foods. No processed meats with nitrates, nitrites. Means no deli slices, no sandwich meats, no sausage, ham, bacon, bologna, salami, pepperoni, jerky. No oils. No olive oil, coconut oil, margarine, mayonnaise, salad dressing. So you're giving me that look, okay? Which means no oils. Because they oxidize, turn into trans fatty acids, heterocyclines, and acrylamides, which inflame your arteries and your veins and clog your arteries and veins. No oils. I just love my Italian virgin olive oil. It's going to kill you, dear. Don't do it anymore. Then absolutely drop dead, no gluten in the household. You, your spouse, dog, cat, mother-in-law, sister, renter, anybody in the household has got to be gluten-free. Otherwise, you're not gluten-free. You have to absorb these nutrients from the work, okay? Okay, I got time for 2 more. Oh, you already had a question through her. So she, are you together?
We're together.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Ken. Okay, yes, ma'am.
My son is 25 years old and he's been diagnosed with Lyme disease.
How long ago?
Just within the last month, but he's had the symptoms of it for like 2 years. It started with hair loss and it started with losing weight and sleep problems and joint pain. And he finally went to a doctor and they did the test for Lyme disease and they said he has it. And so he had the test redone and they...
Has he ever been to the Rocky Mountains or up in the Minnesota?
No, he did work in he worked down in Brazil for a while and
Okay.
he was in Argentina.
Okay. Well, he doesn't have Lyme disease. Now, let me ask you a couple more questions here. Did he ever have asthma or bronchitis?
No.
Did he ever have bowel problems, constipation, diarrhea complaints?
If he did, he hasn't told me.
Was he a colicky baby?
Yes.
He told you. He told you when he was a baby that he was having bowel problems. Every time, did you breastfeed him?
Yes.
Okay, are you wearing makeup?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any skin problems, eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis, or rosacea?
I don't think so.
Do you have acne?
No.
Okay. No respiratory problems?
I have sinusitis once in a while.
Okay, what about asthma or bronchitis?
No. I have food allergies.
Okay. Let's see here, do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes.
Did any of them have any asthma?
No.
Did any of them have bowel problems that you know of? Appendix out?
I don't think so.
Oh, you know that, you know that. Did any of them have skin problems?
No.
Your sisters didn't ever complain about skin problems?
No.
Nobody had rough skin on the back of their arms?
No.
Okay. Your son has gluten intolerance. That means you have it because you gave it to him. Okay? Men get it, but they can't pass it on because they don't have pregnancy or breastfeed. I can make that happen if you want, but... Okay, what does he weigh?
Probably about 200.
Yeah. You're the pen clicker.
He's 6'5".
Holding it underneath the paper. Okay, please don't do that anymore. So, he needs to be on 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month. 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month. And then I want him to get on the Immortalium. 2 of those twice. He has 1 bottle a month, and that's to get stem cells going, right, to rebuild stuff. I also want him to get 2 bottles of glucogel, 2 large bottles of glucogel. That's to support and promote maintenance repair of cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, disc between the vertebrae, bone matrix, bone cell. And let's see here. Lastly, I want him to have the de-stress capsules. 3 of those twice. He has 2 bottles a month. And I want you to call me every 2 weeks and tell me, what's his name?
Max.
Max, okay. I want you to tell me every 2 weeks how his energy's doing, how his pain, his knees, and all that kind of stuff's doing, right? Now, the reason why I say he doesn't have Lyme disease is because Lyme disease is curable in 2 weeks. Yes. It's curable in 2 weeks. I get people telling me, oh, I've had chronic Lyme disease. Really? Chronic, I mean, that, my antennae go up when they say chronic Lyme disease. How long have you had it? Oh, for 25 years. I've been on antibiotics for 25 years. Well, your doctor needs to go to jail.
No, but he never did the antibiotics.
I don't care. He doesn't have Lyme disease. Just, you know, people get antibodies against tuberculosis when they get exposed to it. They get tested for, they do a blood test, or do a skin test to see if they have tuberculosis, going to be a food worker or something like that. And they'll have antibodies, but they'll have a negative TB test. Because they're exposed 25 years ago. He may have been exposed when he was in Brazil or something like that. But Lyme disease, I mean, you get a fever that puts you in bed and you're near death and all that kind of stuff. It's not like you have a little pain in your knees and you got some rashes and things like that. Okay? So these people that have Lyme disease for 25 years, they've been treated with antibiotics every day for 25 years. They don't have Lyme disease. They have gluten intolerance. But doctors don't think of gluten intolerance, or if they do, they don't want to be gluten intolerant because there's a code in the insurance book for Lyme disease. And all they got to do is write Lyme disease code number, and the doctor and the insurance pays them. Okay? And once you understand that, you think, oh my God. Okay? So, do this for 90 days and he'll be a new man. Now, let me give you a phone number here. And because I'm not gonna be able to do any more, because we gotta do an hour and a half drive to get to our hotel here. We got an early morning tomorrow. We need to leave in the next 3 minutes. So there's 2 toll-free numbers I want to give you. One of them runs from noon to 1 every day, Monday through Friday. Been doing it for 23 years. The second one, which is a different number, will run from 1 to 2 every day, Monday through Friday. The first one that runs from noon to 1 is 888-379-2552. That's 888-379-2552. The second one, which runs from 1 to 2 in the afternoon, every day, Monday through Friday, is also toll-free, 877-912-7529. 877-912-7529. Now, I'm going to say one more thing here, and I'm going to turn this back over to Pete and his crew. They've done a great job. Let's give them a hand. So think about this. How many of you paid the admission fee to get in here? You see, we gave you $1 million worth of free advice tonight.
That's right.
And we'll continue to give you free advice. We don't charge you anything for the information. And at the very least, you become what we call a preferred customer. It's wholesale. You never have to pay the retail prices. And if you get 3 other people going on the basic program, the Healthy Start Pack, every month, yours will be free every month. Is that cool? Now, also, there's different levels that come in as an associate or distributor, and they can tell you about this stuff. And you pay a little bit of money ranging from $25 all the way up to $500. You don't have to do any of those things right now. You can become a free preferred customer, or you can start anywhere you want. You can do the higher price ones later on, get the stock options and car bonuses. And so when you pay $500, you get more than $500 worth of product of your choice. Okay, so it's not like you're giving us $500 one time. You're getting $500 one time, but you're getting all these bonuses and all that kind of stuff. And we're getting more than $500 worth of product. So you can look around, see what you want. Now, we're looking for help. And I realize that probably 85% of the people who work with me are customers, right? Essentially, they're my patients. They really aren't interested in helping anybody else. They're really not interested in getting paid. They just want to be well and feel good and have a good life, which is okay. That makes me happy that happens. But I need help. I'm willing to pay obscene amounts of money and give away a lot of free product to make it happen. And so if you're prepared to spend a couple hours a week, get free training to be involved, help other people, and you get an income stream plus tax benefits. Remember, you don't get any tax benefits whatsoever as an employee. But when you have your own little business, starting even at the bottom level at $25 one time, and you get more than you get about $50 worth of stuff, show you how to run your business and all kinds of things. You will get the same tax breaks that Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and Donald Trump and all the billionaires get. Now, if you're working, in addition to doing the longevity thing, you get withholdings, don't you? The government, or your boss, holds money to give to the government at the end of the year. It's called withholding taxes. Now, if you have tax breaks, now, let's see here. How far did you come from, Andrea?
Lancaster.
Which is how far of a drive?
About 2.5 hours.
Okay, so a total of 5 hours. 2.5 hours here, 2.5 hours there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so you're looking at what? Maybe 250 miles maybe each way?
Yes, sir.
At 52 cents a mile, you get to deduct that. You get to deduct your space in your home for your home office. Okay, and let's say you're able to deduct 100. But if nothing else, he gets a tax deduction, which he gets his money back from the other businesses. He doesn't care if you got 50 businesses. He doesn't care if he loses money in 25 of them, makes money in 25 of them. But if you only have one job and they lay you off, bam, you're dead. Okay? So, God bless you. Welcome to the Young Giving family. If nothing else, a believer.